Um, I'm going to try to keep this short. And it's really just the Christians. It's really not to anybody else that, I mean, you can listen to it, but I want to point something out to people who read the Bible, that follow the Bible and stuff. There's two preachings in it. They're kind of um, contradictory, but they really aren't. It says, don't judge others, you know, because you'll be judged by how you judge them. Um, so that would be the decisions you make about others, you know, I would say are eternal decisions. You're summing up somebody you don't know, say, and you're going to treat them according to how you feel about them, okay? That's in an organization. That's you're forming an organization and you're not willing to trust certain people because you've judged them before you've really seen the kind of person that they are. So you don't have available to you a history of what they've produced. Um, you don't. You would have to judge them through interacting with them. You would have to interview them. You might give them the chance to prove themselves by giving them a um, giving them a period of time. I forgot what they call it, but you have a certain amount of time that they have to prove themselves in, and once they've done the things necessary to to win your trust, then they become a part of your organization, and this helps your organization to be um, produced by people that are not self-seeking and are going to do things to the benefit or of the organization. In the same way, the person that's trying to become a part of the organization needs to question the fruits of that organization. If the fruits are good, then the organization is good. If they're bad, you don't want to be a part of the organization. So it kind of is um, dependent upon who is developing an association. You're developing an association with somebody, um, and or you're developing a friendship. Um, I think when it says don't judge, that assumes that you're going to take what you know about someone and spread it to other people that this person is bad and for these reasons, and not to trust them at all, and so you're spreading the news that a person is bad, and that's going to affect their own self. Once it comes around to them, once they hear the rumor, it's going to affect their self-image, and that can be destructive in so many different ways. And one way is to develop a sense of a lack of trust of others. If others don't trust them, they have no reason to trust anybody else, and then they might turn to the dark side, and start to be involved with people who are also untrusted, but entrusted for good reason, and become part of evil organizations. So it's really, these are just suggestions try to avoid the creation of bad organizations by like mobsters and stuff like that. Um, it's possible that good people can be involved with bad people, and that's when they think that they're really controlled by a concern for survival or some other thing that's just making their life hard. And if you're in the wrong part of town where a lot of people produce bad fruits, then it's going to be very difficult to get out of that slum, um, unless you're in a group of people that are not self-seeking, that are good, that is in a bad part of town. It's not all bad parts of town are bad. It's just they may be poor, but they may be productive, and that the people there are good, but they're in a poor part of town. So the thing is that you might have an assumption, and you might have already made the judgment that people in this side of town are worthless. How is that not like racism? You know. And so the thing is that you don't have the capacity, just as people had of Jesus. What good can come from Nazareth? You know, they made that judgment call on him, but he proved himself over time, while still other people didn't believe that he could possibly be anybody of. Because, as is said, um, people look for greatness from high places. They don't look for people to come from low places, to develop greatness. They look at people at high places. And so you don't judge somebody eternally. You don't judge somebody as not having the capacity to do good. So that's people that you're collecting together, people that you're choosing to associate with, people you're choosing to have business relationships with. But if you're concerned, if you're the individual and you're looking at an organization, or you're looking at a person that's developing a company and he tends to produce bad fruits, you might it's in your best interest to probably not be involved with that company. You know, if your life depends upon it, yeah, you're going to probably have to take a job from this company, but you don't want to be there very long. And the same deal with people who are starting companies. And so that's kind of that what those different suggestions are in the Bible, that a man who produces bad fruits is probably a bad man, but you don't judge others, and you don't gossip about others and say that they don't have any capacity to do good. Um, and so that's the nature of that sort of thing. You do have to judge others. And some people think that um, that the Bible is all throughout is saying that you love everybody. And in fact, one part of the Bible it says you're supposed to hate your everybody in comparison to loving God. And what that's really saying is that the value system that's set in the Bible, um, about the values of God, should be placed at such a higher, so much of a higher level than your trust in others, and that in other people's values. If your mother says this Christian stuff is completely worthless, I don't want you to be involved with it, you're supposed to hate her so much in comparison to the values of the moral of the Christian system. If you really love Christ, you're going to love the things that God loves, that God values, and by comparison to that, you're going to have priority to that, versus the priorities of the people around you. If the people around you are kind of like, well, if you're going to go over that stuff, I can't be around you, and your attitude to that is, well, you know, I'm going this way, and I can either take you or leave you. And that's kind of what it's really saying, to hate others. You're to hate, um, you're to have a more of a priority for the morals set in the Bible versus the priorities of others in having a loving relationship, because they've already made a decision that if they can't have you being a Christian around them, then they already, to some extent, already hate you. And so the idea is that if you're going to choose this belief system, this set of morals and these set of values, you have to love them so much as to, by contrast, hate everything else, because then it's not going to work. It's not going to work to its fullest. And there's still stuff we struggle with, and there's stuff that we just probably won't be able to get past. And I have certain things which I'll tell out in front to everybody. There are things that are major failures for me, but if I'm trying to make sense of this and I have a need, I have a certain needs that need to be met, but are never going to be met because of certain problems that I have. So if I have bad fruits, then fine, don't be involved with me in a professional organization, or be around me. But if you're going to say that I don't have the capacity to do good because there's certain things about me that are bad, if I'm saying that I know they're bad and I'm still doing them, it's really between me and God. It's not between me and you. And to tell everybody this guy's a complete, douchebag, or this guy's a dirtbag because he still is into something bad, in my case, pornography. It's my belief that this stuff doesn't come between me and other people, and that I don't have the capacity to actually have a marriage, because I have certain social problems. And so for me, this satisfies a need, and it's really between me and God, and it's not between me and everybody else. But I will mention that because of my understandings about psychopathy and sociopaths, is that they will never self-deprecate. So why not self-deprecate on something that I know a lot of people are involved on? If it were not the case, it wouldn't be so successful on the internet. And so I believe that the stuff, though it looks really bad and it's got all these bad values in it, there are good people in that, they're in among it. And I have this need to try to find something good in it. That's the reason why I don't have any problem with it, like other people have problems with it. But if you see that as being worse than anything else, then you probably have a problem with me. And if you don't know enough about, if you're not willing to try to understand me, then you're not going to understand other people that are like me. And so anyhow, I just want to cut it there. The thing is that it's about who you associate with. Some people won't have a problem with dealing with me. Some people will have a problem, and what will prevent them from going any further is their perception of my values and my problems, the things I struggle with. The thing with porn is that I've done it. I've tried to get rid of it and struggled with it, and it's become such an obstacle. It's always been, God can't possibly love me if I'm involved with this stuff. Now it's to the point where God probably doesn't have a problem with this if I'm trying to do good. Okay? And God will keep throwing Satan at me. And if I can work in that kind of pressure, then um, there might be something to me that is not so bad. Um, I'm still trying to, and that may be the wrong way to think, but what is it? How is it affecting others? What if what I'm doing is affecting others? Why is that? And am I out having sex with people? Am I? Is it affecting? Is my involvement with it affecting others? Is it a social perception effect, or is it that I'm directly making judgments on others in respect to it, and I'm destroying people? That's the two the two ways of thinking about things. And the Bible kind of paints that picture that the things that you hold to heart, is it affecting others? Is it? It might not. It might be that it is to an extent that you're not forming a family, you're not developing friendships and stuff like that. But are you completely? Um, are you completely a failure? No, you're never completely a failure. If you're trying to do good and there's certain things you need, like drugs or alcohol or things like that, you need them. In the Bible, it says, give a drunk his drink, So, anyhow. And so we got certain vices, and the thing is that if we spend all of our time in those vices, um, is it really? And I struggle with it. See, I'm struggling with it. So, is it really going to? And I have to hook this thing up to the power because it's saying that I'm pretty much. It's going to shut down in a second here. So. So anyhow, that's See, anytime I put these videos up, I'm really not saying I'm a better person. I'm flawed. Um, there's a difference between somebody who will do stuff that are flawed and then don't self-deprecate than the person who has flaws and will put them forefront. And it makes it fairly easy for me to be me if I put my flaws forefront. Um, People who hide their flaws and do not put them forefront in front of people whenever they talk about themselves, those people are the people that are going to be trying to save face. They're not going to self-deprecate. They're going to be they're basically developing the kind of persona that a psychopath would have. And a psychopath doesn't identify with other people, but they do realize that other people will make judgments on them, and so they build up the best self-image with no defects. And the truth of the matter is nobody's perfect. So if nobody's perfect, why develop this perception that you don't have any failures? And if people point out the failures and you say, I don't have any failures, then that's a person that believes that there are perfect people in the world, and they probably also make judgment calls on other people that they're either they're going to make decisions like them, just as when Trump was judging Bezos's treatment of the Washington Post that was going to put out um, propaganda that was seeking of Bezos, that was Trump's assumption. But why would Trump have that assumption? Because Trump probably would have done that if he had acquired a newspaper. So he was judging Bezos based upon his own values. See what I'm saying? And so that's the kind of the judgment in the Bible, is that when you judge others, you're judging them with respect to your own perceptions of what's good and bad. And it it has the potential to affect them if you're gossiping, but it also has the potential for you to fail because you probably have the wrong set of values. And why is that? Is it that people have lost trust in you, so you don't have any reason to trust others? There's a whole bunch of things that can come out of that. And so